Hello YouTubers, Joe Kersey here on Monday, December 12th at 14:20 in the afternoon Eastern Time. Have a little winter lager. Now today's been actually a relatively full day. Yesterday, of course, I went to church. I didn't read. Went to 8 o'clock service. We had about an inch and a half of snow overnight, Saturday night, and early Sunday morning, and the roads had sort of been plowed. Some of them were, some of them weren't. Some of the roads have been treated with the road cum or salt or sand. Some of them were and some of them weren't. So it was four-wheel drive all the way up to church yesterday morning, but on the way back, all the stuff had time to work, and so it was melted, so there was no problem. It wasn't a problem getting up there either, really. Hell, it was just an inch and a half of snow. Give us a break, give me a break. What stories to tell today? The Sunday night Skype with Tony Pincham started off at a usual time of about 1500 Eastern Time, and then Tony from Seattle, Tony BZ, chimed in, and we did this three-way thing for off and on, because Tony had to leave. He was helping his man bake these nut rolls, and so he had to sort of cut away from time to time to do that. And I can tell some of these hospital stories at another time. But Tony was talking about this thing that they have in Seattle now called a democracy voucher. Now, apparently what it is, and I think this is just in Seattle proper, not the whole state of Washington. Somehow, I don't know what the rationale behind it is obviously they call it democracy voucher just to make it sound something that wasn't offensive. But what it is it's a complete redistribution scheme. They take the money that they are redistributing out of real estate tax. And then apparently all you have to do to get your cut of this democracy voucher, and there's so many millions of dollars that they earmarked for this. Sticks in my mind about $4 million that they set aside for this. Is that in order to get a democracy voucher, which is like just a cut of the money, all you have to do is just show that you've lived in Seattle for X number of days. Doesn't matter if you own property or have paid any tax at all in Seattle. They'll just give you some of this money. That's just a pure redistributionist scheme. I mean, that's basically it's confiscating property, your property, and giving it to somebody else. It's just horrifying. Just horrifying and idiotic. Gosh. Well, I can talk about I'll talk about that another time too. Of course, Tony Pincham was very much involved in this spirit of the Christmas season. And we talked about some of his, he's got these LED lights now for his tree, which really are very neat. And they change colors and things. I don't do it. I don't do any of that stuff. But if I did, that sounds like it'd be neat. Oh, well, the big event for today was Monday and Tuesday are Paul's days off, and he came over today. I didn't expect him to come over today, but that's fine. He actually came over to get his computer box, the original packaging material for his MacBook Pro. It was a 13-inch model, and he was going to do some shopping for. He had gone to see his urologist this morning, and he said he needed a can opener and some shaving cream, and I said, well, shit, I have 2 extra can openers, so I gave him one, and hell, it's like 50 cents. You know? And then I had a can of shaving cream, actually, that I think probably is about 30 years old, but still quite good. It's this Noxzema shaving cream. They don't make that anymore, I don't think. That's what he used when we first met, and that's what I was using too when we first met. Somewhere along the line, this whole full can of it fell between the cracks. I actually found another can of it when I was, cleaning some stuff out here and tidying things up about a few weeks ago, and it was about a third full, and so I finished using it. It worked just fine. I think all that stuff's pretty much the same no matter who sells it anyway. So I guess he still had to do some shopping. Oh, he also had there are some of these change of address letters that, the post office sends out test letters and things. So he's getting his mail and I'm getting my mail, so that all went through without disruption. But the good news, the big good news for Paul today is that he has gained 20 pounds. He has gained 20 pounds. And I don't know whether that's from he's not drinking as much or he's not smoking as much, because he can't afford to indulge those habits as much as he could here when he lived here without paying rent and stuff. But he then said to me that a month ago, his general manager at the hotel remarked to him that he was too thin, and they were worried that he was going to get hurt because he just wasn't strong enough and he was getting too thin. Which is exactly what happened when he worked at the Hampton. That's exactly how he lost his job at the Hampton. He was given the option to resign rather than get fired. They said, we're afraid you're going to get injured. Well, of course, what they didn't want was they didn't want that on their medical insurance and raise their medical insurance rates. So obviously that would be borderline legal, but without getting into that. But he's gained 20 pounds. This was the happiest I've seen him in many years. Certainly the happiest I've seen him since the dogs died. And he was more articulate and doing fine on his feet, and I was very happy to see his improvement, massive improvement. Of course, I mentioned I've gained 6 pounds since he left, but 20 pounds in 3 weeks. So that's good. That's good news. I suggested that he might want to look into getting his sort of chronic depression taken care of or treated. Now he's going to see his general practice doc here in a day or two. Maybe he'll do that. I hope so. I hope he'll bring it up, or maybe she'll put the pieces together. Hard to say sometimes. That's good news. I'm just delighted. I am. I'm delighted. It's good. And then after that, from the sublime to the ridiculous. Tony from Seattle called me today, and we Skyped briefly. He wanted to show me this video of a guy falling off a gurney while he was being transported by EMS. And frankly, I'm surprised that doesn't happen more often. Because you get these large people, and they're kind of, these gurneys are top heavy. I'm surprised they don't sling over on their side more often. But I guess that was on one of these blooper type shows. But I have remarked that there was a case, well, there were two cases where I saw patients drop. Fortunately, my hands were not on them at the time. The surgical team itself was transferring the patient. But we'd fixed this man's hip fracture, and while transferring him off the Richards frame to the, fracture frame, fracture table, into the bed, they dropped him between the bed and the operating table. And so the guys started, the orthopedic guys started examining him, and they said, the guy said, I think he's broken his other hip. And they said, we ought to check. So we put him back on the table, they x-rayed, sure enough he had broken his other hip. So they operated on the other side and fixed that fracture too. I'm thinking to myself, how are they possibly going to square this with the family? So they went out to the family and they said, well, we fixed his hip fracture. Oh, thank you, doctor. And they said, now sometimes when they fracture one side, they fracture the other side and you don't realize it right away. So they said, well, we opened up the other side and sure enough it was fractured, so we fixed that side too. Oh, doctors are so wonderful. Oh, thank you for taking care of our dad. Oh. Talk about pulling something out of the fire and blowing smoke up people's fundaments. When we fixed the second side, at the end of that case, as we transferred the man onto his bed, he kept saying, please don't drop me again, please don't drop me again, please don't drop me again. Poor fucker. Gee. Yeah, great moments in medicine. Paint that up for the Burroughs Wellcome Museum in London. So on that note, I'm going to leave you with two sayings. Be the still point in the turning world. And I may have said this the other day, but I'll say it again. There are no victims, only volunteers. So bye-bye, YouTubers.